Hey guys, this is Harry Dell with another episode of Boxing Chat with Harry Dell. How you guys doing? I'm going to go ahead and start off today with some news from the other side of the pond. British Boxing Board of Control has approved Fury versus Chisora rematch. It will be for the vacant British heavyweight title, and Chisora still holds the European title, so those two belts could possibly be up um, in line for that fight. It should be taking place sometime around July. Um, but for the meantime, Chisora has been linked for a mandatory title defense against Kubrat Pulev. But some money problems have been what's been holding that fight so far. So it's on hold for now. As far as Fury, it's if it's in the summertime, it'll be good for him to get in shape, to be fit, because he came in fat his last fight. He came in actually at 274 pounds, the highest he's ever been. So I guess it would be good for him to, not take any fights now and just wait till July to get himself in shape, to get himself ready. But yeah, that should be a good one. Adrien Broner. He has confirmed that he is fighting on May 3rd. He posted on his Twitter a video of him actually in his day one of camp. Um, there has been no opponent confirmed yet. And, I mean, if you don't have an opponent confirmed and you're already starting training camp, and the fight is May 3rd, less than 2 months away, it's very, it's very highly unlikely that it's going to be a very quality opponent. It could be, possibly Molina, John Molina Jr. He's been wanting this fight. He's been calling out Broner. He's actually said that he can beat him, and Ponce de Leon and Maidana have, pretty much set up the blueprint for him, because Molina is that kind of rough style, hard puncher, and he's confident that he can beat Broner. But for now, there's no opponent yet, and I mean, that's unfortunate. Now we know for sure that it's not going to be Khan. Steven Espinoza, the vice president of Showtime, he actually has said that Broner is moving down to 140. So there goes to show you that Khan is not going to be fighting Broner, nor Thurman, nor any other welterweight. So who else? I mean, if he wants to, I mean, Floyd wants Broner on his undercard for sure, but I mean, he has to fight somebody in order for people to buy this pay-per-view. People will not buy this pay-per-view if Broner fights some nobody again, and pretty much, it would just look bad for him. He said he wants to fight anybody, but I mean, we'll see about that. Another possible opponent for him, since he's going down to 140, could be Lamont Peterson. But that probably won't happen either. Although Broner was at the Peterson fight when he defended his title against Gary John, so there's a chance that that fight could happen later on in this year. Because it looks to me that Broner will be campaigning at 140 for probably the next 2 years at least. He's a pretty big guy for his height, and he will probably outgrow the weight class within 2 years, 2 or 3 years. But that should be a good one, because let's say he does fight Peterson later on down the line. If Danny doesn't fight him after he fights Herrera and hopefully beats him, hopefully for him, because then we're gonna get a really good fight between him and Peterson, another unification, or down the line, Danny Garcia versus Adrien Broner. That would be a good one. Garcia Broner would be a very good fight. But so far, no opponent yet, so we'll have to wait and see what's going to happen with that. Alright, moving on to some more news. Today, Justin Fortune has been saying that, Pacquiao still has the same punching power and he still has it, even though he's at 35 years old already. Um, as we all know, Justin Fortune is his strength and conditioning coach. He, pretty much took his spot back from Alex Ariza. Alex Ariza replaced him a couple years back, and now Justin is back as his conditioning coach, strength and conditioning coach. He claims that Manny still has that ferocious force in his punches. Despite being only 30, being 35 years old, even though it's not old in life, but for a boxer, yeah, it pretty much is. This is a quote from Fortune, and I quote: "If you notice, older fighters with power are always dangerous because they've got a puncher's chance to win. George Foreman still had his power when he knocked out Michael Moore, and he was 45. He does make a good point there. A fighter always has that punching power. That's probably the last thing that goes away. First is the reflexes, the speed, kind of that the chin, possibly, just you should start to wear it down, but the power is still there. And what's interesting is Justin Fortune, he said, he's been hearing that Bradley wants the old Pacquiao, and Fortune said he's going to get the old Pacquiao. Ferocious, fast, and powerful. We have to wait and see, because in the first fight, Pacquiao didn't really look like he wanted to knock out Bradley. He looked like he just wanted to land as many punches as he can. And whether you thought he won that fight or not, me personally, I think it just wasn't a good fight for either one of them. I mean, I've seen that fight over, and it just, the commentators do kind of like pump it up a little more than they should. But yet, Pacquiao probably barely won that fight. But the judges didn't see it that way, and they gave it to Bradley. Because Bradley was making Pacquiao miss a lot, and maybe that had a lot to do with the judges swaying towards Bradley. And but this time around, Pacquiao wants to knock him out, so it's going to be a good one. Let's see what kind of fight it's going to be. It's going to be a boxing match, or it's going to be an all-out brawl. Either way, it's going to be good, and it's going to be good for us fans. Okay, guys, now we're moving on to a segment called BS of the Day. In BS of the Day, we just, I talk about something that's that's just some bullshit, pretty much. I'm just going to put it out there. It's just bullshit. It could be either, something a fighter said or did or hasn't done, or the promoters, anything to do with boxing. If it's BS, it's going to be the BS of the day. And today's BS of the day is Keith Thurman still does not have an opponent. I mean, what is going on with that? I mean, he's supposedly going to be fighting April 26th at the StubHub Center, along with Lucas Matisse. Of course, they're going to be fighting separate opponents, but I mean, who is Thurman going to fight? I mean, I doubt it'll be anybody of high quality. Because it's almost I mean, gosh, it's almost going to be April. I mean, we're March 13th. I mean, who is he going to fight? I mean, Porter and Olaji, no, they're fighting each other. Broner, he's going to 140, so that's not going to happen. Amir Khan, he's turned down 2 fights with Brook and Guerrero. I mean, if you're turning down 2 fights against them, I mean, does he want to fight Thurman? I mean, come on. Yeah, I don't think so. I doubt he wants Thurman. I mean, if he's if he doesn't want to fight Guerrero or Brook, I mean, come on. Oh no, I don't want to fight those guys. I want Thurman. He's a beast, and I want to fight beast. I mean, come on now. Personally, I think Thurman would eventually get to him. We'll most likely knock him out. But first, we'll probably see a good boxing match first in the beginning of the fight. But anyways, we'll see if that fight happens. Amir Khan's most likely fighting Luis Collazo, so if that happens, who's Thurman gonna fight? I mean, who is out there for him to fight? I mean, I just think it's some bullshit. How I don't know what it is. They just don't want him to be a star. They don't want him to get his to get the fights he needs in order to be on top, to be recognized. You know, because we all know him as you know, a power puncher. Up to recently, you know, a lot of people have been giving him credit for his boxing skills, and you know, he can box. I mean, he's had a hell of an amateur career. I mean, you can't get anywhere with just power, and he has boxing ability and power, which makes him, AKA, more ducked by everybody. I mean, but somebody will fight him, but it's not going to be any of those top guys that I just mentioned, which is too bad because Thurman needs to and wants to step it up. He wants to show the whole world that he belongs in those top 3, top 2 welterweights. And I mean, who else? Alexander? Maybe? No? I don't think so. I mean, Alexander just came off a loss. I doubt he's going to want to go in there with someone that's, you know, the likes of Thurman, pretty much. I mean, come on. I mean, you know, Alexander's probably just, you know, he's broken right now. You know, he probably feels like I mean, he was talking a lot of smack before he fought Porter, and you know that Porter has nothing to offer and all this other stuff, blah 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 blah. But you know, he lost, so I doubt he would, you know, take that risk and go against Thurman. Who else? Zab Judah, maybe. I mean, if the money's right, Zab will take the fight. I mean, Zab fights anybody. I mean, if you notice Zab, he always fights. Even towards the end of his career, he's been fighting the, you know, guys that were coming up. You know, he fought Amir Khan, Danny Garcia. I mean, you know, Matista. He fights guys that people are calling, you know, monsters or beasts, or they're unstoppable, or you know, they're young guys coming up. I mean, Zab Judah could be a possible opponent. I mean, he does not turn down fights like that because he knows that he has the skill, he has the power, he has the experience to win, and he believes in himself a lot, that he doesn't turn down these kind of fights. So you know, look out for that. You know, Zab Judah versus Keith Thurman. Hey, it's a possibility. But if that doesn't happen, I mean, who else? I mean, Josecito Lopez. I mean, maybe. You know, if the money's right for him, he'll take it. You know, because you know, he took the fight against Victor Ortiz and Canelo. I mean, he's not scared of anybody either. He's fought Maidana. I mean, that's a possible opponent. It could be either Zab Judah or Josecito Lopez at the StubHub Center on April 26th. But you know, even with all that said, I mean, it's still some bullshit how he hasn't been able, how he has not been able to get an opponent. I mean, this is just ridiculous. And you know, the welterweight division is hot right now, and he's kind of been left out. I mean, you know, all these other guys are fighting each other, possible fights, you know, on big stages. You know, Porter Malaji, you know, on the card of Hopkins. You know, Broner's fighting under the, you know, the Mayweather undercard. You know, Amir Khan and Luis Collazo most likely will fight each other, and it will be on May 3rd. Possibly. I'm pretty sure it will be. So where does that leave Keith? I mean, he's kind of just, you know, like a loner, which he doesn't deserve to be, and I think that's BS. So that deserves BS of the day. Golden Boy, do your job. Get him a freaking fight. A fight that he deserves. And he's earned it. You know, he's coming up. I'm not saying he's the greatest. I'm not saying he's a, you know, he's all of boxing, or he's the man. But he's an up and comer that is very solid. Not up and comer as a boxer. I'm sorry, up and coming champion. He's already at that. You know, he could be. He's a champion level, and he could, you know, possibly be the next you know, beast at 147. People are already calling him a beast. Yes, I know, but you know what I mean in terms of being a champion and defending it against all these other guys. You know, that would be a sight to see. But you know, hopefully later on this week we'll find out who he will fight, and I hope it's no laundromat worker or something like that. I mean, that'd just be a waste. But I'll go to the fight so I can see Keith. It's always gonna be exciting. All right, guys. Moving on to some quick possible fight segment of the show. Chavez Jr. I mean, it is pretty much confirmed that he is going to be fighting July 12th on pay-per-view, either with Triple G or Pacquiao. If it's against Triple G, it would be at 168. Chavez Jr. can't make 160. He just looks like a straw when he made 160 the last time against Martinez. And if it's against Pacquiao, it would be at 175. So I mean, I don't know what Bob Arum is trying to do with Chavez Jr. career. I don't know if they're just trying to make him just a cash cow for his promotion, because career wise, I mean, what is he doing? He's going up and down, up and down. You know, where's he trying to, you know, stamp his legacy at? I mean, if he wants to make noise at 168, he's got to wipe out 168. I mean, Golovkin up 168, that would be a good fight. But you know, Golovkin is a champion at 160. I mean, that'd be crazy if Chavez Jr. You know, he goes, you know, hey, I'll go to 160. I'll do it again for the WBA championship. But you know, that won't happen. That won't. And Pacquiao, it will be at 175. So I mean, come on now. I mean, what the hell? What the f? This is just I guess they're just trying to make Chavez Jr. just, you know, a money printing machine. Pacquiao wants to fight in Las Vegas, but Bob Arum says if it would be between Chavez Jr. and Pacquiao, it would have to take place at Cowboy Stadium. That's where he prefers. Bob Arum prefers Cowboy Stadium for Chavez versus Pacquiao. And there was also talks of if he fights Triple G, it would be at the Forum in Inglewood, which would be awesome because it's like 5 minutes away from my house. But we'll have to wait and see. But either way, you know, Chavez, he's got to just, you know, really be, you know, if he wants to be one of the best in history, he's got to do better than this. I mean, there's a chance he could lose to both of these guys, but you know, we'll have to wait and see. Another possible fight: Lomachenko versus Russell Jr. for the vacant featherweight title. You know, yes, they're from different promoters. You know, Top Rank and Golden Boy, but Arum and Schaefer has said, you know, that's not a problem. You know, it wouldn't even be a problem if it goes to purse bid. You know, that fight is probably going to be the first fight where Top Rank and Golden Boy will work together, which will be awesome because, hey, might as well do a Top Rank versus Golden Boy card. You know, hey, why not? But with that being said, I mean, why the hell is Bob Arum trying to push Lomachenko to be a freaking champion? I mean, he has 2 fights and he's 1-1. He's 1-1 and he's going for a second title shot. I mean, what the? I mean, really? Come on now. Yes, he is a 2-time Olympic champion. You know, outstanding amateur background. But I mean, just let this guy just work his way up. I mean, come on. What about the other top 10 contenders, top 5? You know, that have been doing this much longer and have been working harder to get to where they are. And Russell Jr., I mean, people have been saying he's been fighting, you know, he's been well taken care of, and of course, you know, Lomachenko and Russell would, you know, fighting each other, that would be, you know, probably the most competitive fighter they fought in a long time, and probably for the first time in the pros. But I just, come on, I don't want to, I mean, I would like to see it, but Arum just needs to slow down with Lomachenko and just let him, get a couple more fights in. Rigondeaux had, you know, like he had 8 or 9, 10 fights before he got a title shot. I think it was 11-0 when he got a shot. But Lomachenko, he's just, he's 1-1. He's 1-1, people. I mean, amateur is amateur, pro is pro. I mean, if he loses again, I mean, what the hell? What's gonna? I mean, what's gonna happen now? I mean, that would be terrible. Everyone will just look like a fool. But we'll see what happens. All right, so that's it for possible fights. Now we're gonna move on to the last part of the show, which is fantasy matchups. Today's fantasy matchup is just like yesterday was Floyd Mayweather versus Sugar Ray Robinson. This was the same as yesterday, but I'm gonna do it as every Monday. It would be a new one. So it gives you guys, it will give you all time to watch the video if you didn't catch it the day I put it up, so you can think about it, put your input on who you think would win and how and why. And every Monday I would read your guys comments and your emails, and I will give you my point of view of how the fight will go and who would win. But yeah, today's fantasy matchup, actually this week's fantasy matchup, Floyd Money Mayweather versus Sugar Ray Robinson. Alright guys, that's going to be it for today. Thank you guys for tuning in once again. Please subscribe below, and to get more videos, I will be putting many more videos up every day. Hopefully every day, most likely, yes. And it's been a pleasure once again, and until next time, see you later.